Okay, welcome everybody. I am so excited to see you today. This is the COVID Crisis Comeback Challenge, Secrets to Goal Achievement Mastery. I'm your host, Mike DeLuca, and this program is brought to you by my little company, Integrative Wellness and Development, LLC. It is solely for the purpose of education, inspiration, a little bit of perspiration, and a lot of motivation. And I'm hoping that you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed putting this on. And as I said, the purpose of this is education. We are not going to make any claims about diagnosing, treating, or preventing any illnesses, conditions, or challenges. We are not making claims that if you take the information that we're giving you, that it will be an instant money machine, that you will be able to presto changeo, become a millionaire, have a yacht, a private jet, and all of those other things. I can guarantee you, if you do apply the principles that I've given you with all your heart, mind, and spirit, and stay true to your vision and be willing to work hard, you will see some incredible results. These are the very same principles I applied that took me from being homeless and living on the street, being penniless, foodless, and almost hopeless, and turning around in less than a year, working for a Fortune 100 corporation, riding in Gulfstream jets, having incredible experiences, later on owning my own plane. You know, that material stuff, that's what's not important. What's important is I got my life back by using these principles, and I have helped millions of people over the last 45 years. And that's why I'm excited about doing this program. It's not about making money. It's about making progress. It's about helping you make progress in your life. And people who have been attending these sessions have had incredible results, okay? It has changed my life. These principles have changed my finances. They have changed the life and success of my family. And if you know them, you know what they have done and what they've achieved in their life. And many of you sitting here today, the principles we're going to talk about have made major changes in your health, major changes in your business, major changes in your career, major changes in your self-confidence. That's what this is all about. What you can do for yourself and what this can do for others. I'm feeling so blessed, and we're going to share a lot of really great stuff. So I'm going to share my screen, one of the things I'm sharing. And again, one of the titles of today, The Secrets to Goal Achievement Mastery. That's what we're talking about, and that's what we're going to jump right into that. Now, one of the secrets is it's important that you know what is it that you want. What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What do you want to be, right? It's important that you know the what. Because if we're not clear on what our what is, it can never manifest, right? The universe isn't going to read our mind and say, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll do it for you, right? No, okay? We need to have a very, very clear understanding of what. Then we have to know why, right? These are some of the secrets of goal achievement mastery, right? Be clear on what it is you want. Be clear on why it is you want it. And that why has to be super strong. And that why is more important than the how you're going to get it. Because you've heard all about writing your goals down, writing New Year's resolutions, putting goals on your mirror, putting goals on your notebooks and your journals and your mirror on your car. You've heard all about that. But setting a goal is not the same as achieving a goal. It's not the same as becoming the person that embodies that goal. And that's what we're going to talk about this weekend. It's about what you can become as a result of having a clear what and a clear why and a very clear how, a very clear plan, utilizing these principles we're going to share, and then a clear when, okay? I had set the goal beginning of this year. I felt like I would be such a hypocrite standing in front of you telling you it's important for you to set a goal and work hard and achieve it when I was very overweight. Okay. I was working really hard, and the last thing I was paying attention to was my eating, my exercise, and my diet, right? And my weight. But I felt I owed it to you, and I felt I owed it to myself to step up, because remember, we always talk about that. We need to wake up. We need to get up. We need to dress up. We need to step up, right, in order to achieve our goals. So I had to do those things. I had to step up, and I had to do the hard work. And I did it using the principles we're going to talk about. And so I'm 30 pounds down in 2.5 months. I'm 50 pounds down from when I began my quest to come to a healthier weight. I'm eating better than I've ever eaten before. I've had more energy. I'm sleeping better, right? Because my what was strong, and I did it not just for me, I did it for you. I did it for my family. I did it for my future grandchildren, right? My why is so strong, you have no idea, and nobody can touch that why. And that's what we're hoping to create for you this weekend. Thumbs up. Is this worth spending 6 hours with me this weekend and our guests? Is it worth it? Yes? Yes or yes? All right. Let's do this thing then, okay? Let's just start out with this, okay? Let's start out with this. All of you have received and downloaded part 1 of my Secrets to Goal Achievement Mastery guidebook, right? And you had the balance wheel, the life balance wheel. Many of you have seen this thing. Many of you have done this thing. If you haven't seen it or done it before, sometime this weekend, do it. Be very, very clear about where are you in your life right now, because we can't change and we can't head forward if we don't know where we are right now. We don't know who we are right now. We don't know what we are right now, right? We can't possibly be anything different or anywhere different if we don't know who, what, and where we are. So take the time to do that balance wheel. When you do that balance wheel, it's going to become very, very clear on how to move forward from there. And so session 1 today, the first key to our comeback, is about concentration, right? When I was out there living on the streets, living in cars, living in tents, I could have just surrendered to the fear. I could have just let go and say, this is impossible to overcome. I could have become just like the rest of the folks living on the street. I could have been begging. I could have been allowing my mind to disintegrate and fall apart, or worse. But I knew who I was. I know where I was meant to be. I know what I wanted. I know who I wanted to become. And that was my focus. And again, you know, I grew up with the Apollo space program. I grew up with stories about astronauts. Later on, I grew up building fighter planes. I met fighter pilots. I met some of the elite, the top 1% of people in this world. And one of the things they all had was the ability to concentrate. So I'm asking you to do this right now. Would you please focus for a moment? What is it in your life that you would love to take to the next level? You would love to move forward. You would love to change. You would love to evolve. Pick one thing, like I picked this year with my weight, right? Pick one thing, okay? This is your what. And I want you to be crystal clear about this what. How do you do that? I want you to close your eyes if you would. I want you to concentrate on this what, to where it fills that inner screen of your mind, and there is nothing else on your mind, in your head, in your attention, but that one thing, right? And then look at that one thing. Don't say, someday maybe I'll do this, or I'm thinking of doing this, or I hope one day I can do this. I want you to look at that thing and say, I am this. I have accomplished this, right? I have lost the 30 pounds. Or like one of our students, I have taken 35 steps when a month ago I couldn't get out of bed. Or like one of our students, I have created and am running a successful medical practice when it was getting ready to go down the tubes. Okay? See it, say it, believe it, become it. And now I want you to make believe you're looking at a magic screen on your computer screen. And I want you to see yourself, whether it's 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or a year from now, see yourself already having achieved that goal. See what you look like embodying that goal achieved. Because right now I'm seeing myself being 80 pounds thinner, right? I see myself being 7, 8, 9 inches waist thinner. I'm seeing myself strong. I'm seeing myself confident. I'm seeing myself looking good in my clothes, feeling good, feeling confident. And I'm being that right now. I can tell you what that person looks like. I want you to tell yourself, what is that future you who has attained this goal? What do they look like? What's the look on your face? What's that smile, that look of confidence, that look at I own this world? What does that look like? What does that feel like? See how you walk with your head up high and your chest out, because you know who you really are. You know what you can achieve. You know what you did achieve. Be that and see what that looks like. Feel what that looks like. How does it feel? How does it feel to be the person that took charge of your life, your health, your finances, your mindset, your emotions? How does that feel? I want you to burn that in your memory. And for the rest of these 3 sessions, that's the person I want you to be, listening to what we have to say, showing you what we have to show you, and then you're doing those things like a boss, like someone embodying the achievement that you see yourself being in the future. Okay, I want you to be that boss. I want you to think like that boss. I want you to feel like that boss. I want you to act like that boss, because that's what you are. This isn't a lot of cheerleading, hyper, motivational speaking smoke. This is reality. I've lived it. Many of you have lived it. I want everyone here over the next 3 sessions to live it and be it. Let's start with first in our mind, in our memory, in our hearts, and in our bodies, in our brains, right? And then take it into your life when we're not here talking to you and cheering you on and celebrating how amazing you are. Okay? Is everybody doing that? All right. Burn that into your consciousness. That's who you really are. That's who you were meant to be. That's who you want to be. And that's the you that can make a contribution to the world. I know that I went through all of this 40 years ago, not because I was a bad person or a stupid person or I made bad choices. I went through this because I knew when I got through it, I would become something that could never be the same again, could never fail the way that things fell apart again. I could be someone who had the confidence and ability to teach others. Remember this, we go through everything, every challenge, every fall, every defeat. We don't go through it just for ourselves. We go through it for the people we will inspire down the road, right? Remember that. And celebrate today. Celebrate that person you see on that screen, and celebrate yourself every day. Celebrate the little teeny steps, because this is another key to goal achievement mastery, is concentrating on the little teeny steps. right? Just like our friend who couldn't get out of bed and walk out of her room. She started with just tightening her muscles. Then the next day or two, she started just lifting her leg in bed, little steps. Then she started with just standing up in her walker, just for a few seconds, then standing up for a minute, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then taking one step, then taking two steps, to where she's taken 35 steps. She's walking 35 steps and 35 steps back. And she knows in her heart of heart, she's going to be walking out of that rehabilitation center on her own 2 feet because she's mastered the ability to see it, know it, practice it, be it, and chunk it down to little teeny tiny steps she can master. And that's what I'm asking you to do. And that's what we're going to talk about today is any challenge, any goal, any situation you find yourself in, dive down from the big macrocosmic challenge, the big macrocosmic, worry, the big macrocosmic, this is impossibilities, right? Chunk it down to the little tiny microcosmic steps, right? I want you to all take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4 counts in. Hold for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4 counts. Hold. Exhale for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4 counts. Exhale. Hold for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4 counts. Okay? You were concentrating and you made an effective change on your breathing pattern. This is the box breathing pattern that the elite military forces like the Navy SEALs, United States Rangers, United States Special Forces. This is the breathing that fighter pilots do. This is the breathing that snipers do. This is the breathing that many elite athletes do. Because by controlling what our bodily function is with our mind, with our attention, with our intention, and with our emotion, and with our focus, with our concentration, we dominate over our body and our brain and our mind. We are the boss. So remember that box breathing exercise because it will trigger in you the reminder that I'm the one in control of what I think, what I remember, what I feel, and what I do. And when I say I mean the very highest aspect of you. I call it the already goal achieved higher self. I call it soul. I call it your higher self, whatever you call it, because this program embraces all beliefs. We are not endorsed by, we are not sponsored by, nor we do sponsor or encourage or endorse any belief system, religion, philosophy, or practice. We embrace it all. So whatever it is that you see as being that very higher part of yourself, that's who I'm talking to. That's who is sitting here today interacting with us. That's who is going to go through these exercises and listen to our speakers. And that's the person who is in charge of changing your life now and forever. Can I have a thumbs up if this is what you want to be spending the next 3 sessions with, the next 6 hours over the next 2 days? Is this something worth your time? Thumbs up. Yes? Yes or yes? Okay. All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Again, I'm not trying to cheerlead you. I'm not trying to blow smoke at you. I'm not trying to manipulate you to do anything except be here present as your best self and as the person you know who you are and the person you want to be and a person who can make an impact on the world. I have touched the lives of millions of people over the last 45 years. I have changed people's lives. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I understand I did it by working my butt off and proving to people that I made a change, I overcame something, I learned something, I was able to create success in my life. And because even I can do it, someone who's always been accused of not being the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree and not having all of his fries in his Happy Meal, I made it work. You can make these things you're going to learn this weekend work. Okay? So we're talking about concentration. We're talking about creating the right mindset, because nothing we can achieve can be achieved without that. We're talking about really getting down into the down and dirty and knowing who are you, right? You need to know who you are and why you are, right? You need to know that. And may I ask you all, please, to mute yourself. May I ask you to mute yourself? Okay. I'm going to stop here for a second. Very good. And we're back. So, know your what, know your why, know your how, know your when, know your who. And if you can do that, and you already did it, so I know you can do it, but you're going to want to do it over and over and over again. And we're going to practice that this weekend, right? Somebody who I have tremendous love and respect for, and who actually has been a big help in my quest for jumpstarting my health. She's really helped me get some creative ideas. She's helped me motivate myself a little more. She's helped me motivate others. My now good friend and a special guest, Edna Valentino. Edna is an inspiring person. And is an inspiring person, okay? This is someone who had tremendous success in a career on television, okay? This is somebody who, was a health and fitness expert that millions of people saw, was involved with many, many successful programs and products. And then this is someone who became a professional bodybuilder, right? Transformed her mind, transformed her emotions, and transformed her body into a work of art, right? And was successful in the bodybuilding business and realized that she wanted to be a personal coach. She wanted to help people create the change inside of themselves and enjoy the freedom and the power that comes with taking charge of your health. And she created this amazing program called the Jumpstart Program. We'll talk about that a little later. But I want to introduce to you, I want to welcome to our program here. And I want to find her on the screen here so I can look deeply into those eyes and beautiful face and say, thank you, Edna. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so grateful that you're here. And, just say hi to the folks first.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everyone. I love this. I love seeing all these amazing names and seeing these beautiful faces. I'm kind of scanning through here on the right side of my screen. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Let me bring Edna into the screen here. Here she is. Yeah. Edna!
Hey!
Hey!
There you go. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, we are just so excited to have you here, and I have a lot of questions for you. I guess my first question would be, when was it in your life that you decided that you had to take charge? You had to take charge of your mind. You had to take charge of your health. You had to take charge of your career, right? That you really had to step in and take charge. When was that? When did that whole process start, and how did it start?
You know what? It's a great question. I love thinking about this because there wasn't one moment. It was really the way that I was raised. And I was raised, right, by, for most of my life, a single mom. And so the woman taught me how to work hard, how to hustle, how to take control of her life, because she was a single mom early in her 20s with 2 little kids. It was my sister and me. And she, was oftentimes, I think, in survival mode. So it was always trying to make ends meet, always trying to provide for my sister and me. And subconsciously, for sure, subconsciously, it was, that ownership of seeing such a strong woman with, nothing's going to get in her way. She's just going to make it work. And then so I kind of had that ingrained in me because that was the example in front of me for so many years. Then when I got to be an adult, that's already ingrained in me. I remember saying, I don't want to get married because I'm on a career path and I'm going to build my career. And like, that's all I could see, right? I'm not getting married till I'm 40. I don't want anyone stopping me from these things that I want to create in my life. And it was so typical of me young, to say those things. I met my husband in 7 months, we were engaged, and I was married a year later. So much for, that plan. And actually next weekend we'll be married 19 years, which
Congrats.
Is amazing. Yes, thank you. And I'm still taking charge, but I'm learning how to do that. And I know with your 3 C's, Mike, that collaboration in a relationship, I didn't have the best role models for marriage necessarily in front of me, but that was part of, my growth in a sense, that I didn't have to always do everything alone, that I didn't have to do everything yesterday, that I don't have to achieve without stopping and celebrating, like you said, or taking note and getting feedback and maybe adjusting the sails. It's not failure, but it's adjustment. So those are the types of lessons I think, many of us learn when we are so focused on what it is that we're doing. And really, honestly, it started with my mother. I have to give her all that credit.
Well, thank you, Mom, because look what happened. Look what an amazing,
Thank
amazing.
you, Mom. Yes.
Thank you, Mom. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for that answer. And I think, it's inspiring many, many people who've had similar backgrounds and had similar things to face and overcome. And I just, your enthusiasm is infectious, but to do the things you've done, right? To be, a health and fitness expert on television in a very competitive industry, to become a TED Talk person, right? This is, every speaker's dream is to give a TED Talk. To be selected to do that is phenomenal, right? To, come and say, you know what? I'm going to start a coaching business. I'm going to start an online presence. I'm going to start teaching people and creating courses and creating change, right? That takes a lot of courage, right? I'm going to be a bodybuilder and transfer. Would you please show everybody those guns? Would you please show everybody those guns? Huh?
Stop.
All right. Right. All right, everybody, remember what you saw, because that's possible. And I don't mean, we all have to look like professional bodybuilders, but we can all create change in our bodies, shape our bodies with our mind, our memory, our emotions, our brain, and a lot of hard work, right? And Edna is a living example of that. The people you've trained, the people you've helped develop into successes in many ways, is a testament to concentration and a right mindset, right? Can you talk a little bit about mindset and how the people who you're working with are first changing their mindset in order to begin to change their bodies, their habits, and their lives?
It's interesting, Mike, for sure. I think, I was a dreamer, kind of like you, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we saw these visions in our minds, and I'm very visual, and I would see these pictures of what it is that I wanted to do. And I think when you're always seeing that, I didn't know when I was younger that was the first step of creating your reality. And then as I started, kind of studying this a little bit more and wanting to understand more about mindset, especially when it connects to weight loss, because that was my background, I realized, oh, you are actually supposed to start with mindset. You're supposed to see the thing that you want. And it wasn't just me doing that. It was that is actually how you manifest everything in your life. And now it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's like, see yourself. I talk to my kids. I have two kids that are 8 and 10. And what was it that I think my daughter was trying to do a back handspring, and she was trying, and she kept falling. And I said, you close your eyes, just see it first, see yourself doing it because you've done it. And she closed her eyes and she did it, and she would like complete it, right? So it's kind of passing that on so they know that's the way that it works. You don't just accidentally get there. But with the mindset piece, truly, one of the things for me is we have to kind of get quiet. You have to shut out the noise, the chatter in your life, whether it's from other people or whether it's your own self chatter. And I think a lot of times we start thinking we're supposed to do something, but I'm dreaming of this, but my mom told me that, and my friend says this, and this is showing up in my life now. And all of a sudden it's like jumbled all in your head, right? And you're like, what am I supposed to do next? Let me just do something, anything. But you're not coming from the right mindset. And the very first thing I would tell everybody that I had to learn too, because I can get really chattery in my mind, right? That the stories we make up, the limiting beliefs, the all of that is to get quiet on a daily basis. And for me, I start first thing in the morning. I'm sure, many of you may start that way. Sometimes it's before bed, sometimes it's and before bed or at lunchtime or whenever it is. Get quiet. And whether it's through prayer or meditation or silence, or even just getting quiet and being in a gratitude mode, that's the first place to get in order to hear, like I like to say, the little whispers of what you're supposed to do next, right? When you're looking for an answer and you're all over the place and there's chatter and everything's crazy in your mind, how are you supposed to get the guidance about what you're supposed to do next, right? You want that guidance. And so silence is definitely the first thing. And what I will tell you, Mike, to answer your question about starting with mindset, is one of the things that I teach in the Jumpstart program is the miracle morning routine. And since I kind of talked about that starting the day off that way, that's where I got it. So the miracle morning, I did not create it. It comes from a man named Hal Elrod. And there are 6 elements to that I talk about because honestly, it was something that worked for me. That when I started getting feedback from all the Jumpstart clients, that was like, that's the one thing I want to keep doing for the next 30, 60, 90 days, Edna. And I thought, wow, this really is a game changer. And a friend introduced it to me. We started it for 30 days. When we were done, we would text each other, done. That's it. No judgment, no comment, just an accountability to doing that practice. And it's S.A.V.E.R.S. The acronym is S.A.V.E.R.S. And the first S is silence. And like you were saying, that mindset piece has to be first. And when you can kind of get quiet, you start hearing those whispers, those impulses that give you the answer of what you're supposed to do next. The next letter is A, affirmations. You got to feed your mind with that positivity. Mike just gave us an awesome example just now about seeing yourself doing the thing, right? And then talking to yourself and living as if now, not later, not when it's in reality, but when it's still in your imagination. And those affirmations, and if, I don't know if you do talk about that in your program, but that's something very easy to Google.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
We have it built in our journal. Yeah.
That's great. Yep. Yes. And those affirmations are powerful and fun. It's like so fun to have like an affirmation, a selection, and you pick one for the day and you kind of live up to that starting in that moment. The V in S.A.V.E.R.S is visualization, which I know you speak so highly of. That was probably the most fun letter of S.A.V.E.R.S that I had in playing with, because this is the place where you get to add all that color to the dream or the goal, right? Where you add the details. And, you mentioned the TEDx talk that I did. And I will tell you what, that talk came from in 2019, my mantra that year was be bold, be bold, be bold. If I did a social media post, it was hashtag be bold. I started a group that was called Be Bold. It was be bold. It wasn't bold. It wasn't the word bold. It was be bold. It was an action. It was a doing. And every time I said it, I became that because I was doing bold, right? I was being bold. And I shared it with everybody. And I that year, I had a very powerful experience reconnecting with my biological father, who I had not connected with in 32 years.
Wow.
That's what the TEDx talk is about. So I won't spoil it for you. Definitely check it out. It's a story about forgiveness, truly the hardest thing I've ever done to date. And now the bar is up. There will be harder things coming, right? But that year, I remember I was at QVC and I was going on the air with a product and I saw an old friend and we did the quick 5-minute, hey, how's the family? How's, my husband's name is Mike too. How's Mike? How are the kids? How's this? How's that? Okay, how are you? You know, we did the quick catch up. And I hadn't seen him for a few years. Great mentor of mine. And at the end of the conversation, Mike, I whispered in his ear and I said, and oh, by the way, my mantra for 2019 is be bold. And my goal is to do a TEDx talk this year. Now, that was probably April of 2019. I had never pursued the TEDx talk. I knew that I wanted to do it and I saw myself doing it. This experience, I always felt genuinely, when I got quiet, I heard this experience happen to me for all of you, for everybody out there, because, and the more I shared the story, the more I realized forgiveness was a topic and fathers was a topic, huge thing that we don't talk about enough in our society, especially in America, the father role. And I felt like I was a channel and I thought the TED Talk, the TED platform would be the channel. And so when I whispered it to him, as I'm leaving, it's kind of one of those quick, like you say it as you're walking away, right? I just was putting it out into the universe by telling him. And he turned around in that moment, Mike, and he said, oh, great. I know Mandy Murray. Introduce you to. And I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah, I'm working with a woman who's a promoter for TED. She has her own. And I was like, you know somebody who has their own TED Talk? And he said, yes, I'll put you in touch. And I was like dumbfounded that just happened. And 2 weeks later, Mandy called me and I thought she was going to tell me how to apply and give me the ins and outs of like, write this and say that. And this is what they want to hear, right? Like kind of coach me through the enrollment process. No, she wanted to hear my story. And then she said, great, you're in, Edna. And I was like, what? I need you in Salt Lake City. I'm in Pennsylvania in 5 weeks. If you search how long it takes, what they advise you to do for TED, it's 4 to 6 months to practice, get your coach, get your talk, get the 5 weeks I had. And I was like, absolutely, this is how I roll. Like, let's just do it. Be bold in 2019 was happening right now. And I crammed it in. I hired her as a coach. Focus, see yourself, see yourself, see yourself. I asked her to describe, where am I speaking? What do I see? Like really, and every day my miracle morning practice was, that affirmation was be bold. That visualization was me on the stage, according to her description of it. And 5 weeks later, my 2019 bold goal of the year was complete on June 5th, 2019. It was the most like powerful thing at that time for me to put all those elements of the miracle morning, which there's a few more and I'll mention, that it just not like, I was surprised at it. I'm like, I know this works. And I'm still like, wow, that works. Like it was crazy. It was the most insane thing. And when I saw that on YouTube and was like, wow, that really happened. It was just the reality, right? That manifestation that there it is, finished product, going back from January 1st, 2019 to say my goal this year, right? Be bold, ask. And one of the things I always tell my clients is let the world be your marketers. When you have a dream or a goal and you are convicted that you are going to do it, no matter what is in front of you right now, tell everybody, When I did my bodybuilding competition, I remember saying, I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition. I was a producer at QVC. We had a production meeting to go in. Mike, you know all about those meetings, right? And I was going into QVC and I'm like, I'm going to have to publicly tell everybody I'm doing a bodybuilding competition, because until I make it public, it's not out there enough.
Not real. Yeah.
Right? It's not real. And that night I told 2 people, I'm like, what are they going to think? Like, this is a girl that, you know, is at work doing her thing. I have my dream job. I went to school for all this. I'm feeling good. What is she doing that? And I told 2 people and they were so supportive. And all of a sudden it was okay, now it's done. I've said it and now I can't back out. I've already told people, now they're expecting me to finish this. I can't quit. Right. And not that I ever wanted to, but that was part of that whole process too. E in S.A.V.E.R.S is exercise. Huge. You have to move your body. Congratulations on 50 pounds, Mike, because you have talked the talk and walked that walk for sure. And in the process, sprinkled that to everybody, because I got it back from you too. You inspired me. I'm ready to buy my son an Oculus. He won't stop talking about it.
Yes. Well, I will play with him. I will box with him. I will play ping pong with him, which is another great program. So he gets that. I will definitely play with him.
Oh my gosh. It's already on his Christmas list for sure. Yeah.
So, and I, you know, when we were having our last class in the Jumpstart, one of the students, you know, had been talking about getting the Oculus to be more, you know, physically active. And I really meant what I said. If he goes out and he buys that Oculus, I will buy him the boxing program and I will box with him once a week to get him to the level of physical activity. And I'll do it for free to get him to the level of physical activity to where he's having fun and he's, you know, he's getting that cardiovascular movement. So I meant what I said, and I hope you'll communicate that to him.
I'm going to keep nudging him for sure. That was Rusty. You made that offer to, right in front of everybody. That was
fantastic. I did.
Yeah. So, and exercise, you know, it can be creative. I used to be very attached to my exercise program because I came from, you know, I had grown up playing team sports, but after that, I didn't know how to work out. You know, this whole bodybuilding thing was me reading magazines and seeing pictures of women that were competing, and these women were competing, and I see the pictures in the magazine. I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I had no business doing that. I didn't have a gymnastics or dance background, but again, I saw the picture in my mind. Right here we go to visualizing, and I'm like, let me just see if I can do one of those. Right? It was kind of an adult bucket list. And I didn't aspire to be a bodybuilder when I was a kid. It was just kind of in the moment. I'm like, here's a goal. I'm working night shift. I work out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody's at work. Let me just put some muscle into it, you know, and learn nutrition, learn how to work out. And I used to go like this to the weight room. When I went to the gym, it was like, oh my God, just make it to the treadmill or the elliptical, you know, don't look at the weights. They might come get you. And now I love lifting. And I know what it does for women to feel that empowered and to feel strong can change everything in your world. And so much so that, you know, I wanted to help people really change, like really show up in the world the way they're meant to show up.
Yes. Because
you started with your body and your mindset. It goes hand in hand. You can't give to the world a lot if this isn't healthy, right? Like you want to make this healthy. So exercise doesn't have to be 2 hours of lifting and what people think. It can be fun, like the Oculus and virtual reality, right? It can be going for a walk through the woods. It doesn't have to even be high intensity, because a lot of times when you lower the stress, which is one of the elements in the Jumpstart, you lose weight because you're not, you know, you don't have that baggage of all of that stress and that weight that you're carrying around. You kind of show up differently. And the last 2 elements of the Miracle Morning that really changed for me was reading and scribing, R and S, reading and scribing or journaling, right? And so it was so fun for me to finally get to these books that I had on my nightstand, because every day I was kind of chipping away at them and then writing about what came. And what I will tell you guys is you can't keep everything in your head. That journal Mike has is powerful, because when you write things out, 2 things. One, it puts an impression of what you already have in your mind, right? So you're writing it again, it keeps it. And number two, sometimes the pen has a life of its own. You start expanding on whatever that thought is. And when you start writing it down, it becomes even more powerful for you. I've had times when I have my pen and I'm like, I don't know, this wasn't that powerful of a read, let's say, whatever it might be in the moment. And I start writing and I can't stop. And all of a sudden, all this magic is on paper. And I'm like, there's an idea, there's a light bulb, there's that little whisper I was looking for, or didn't know I was looking for. And so that has become even more powerful for me too. And being able to look back, I can open a journal and I save them all and just look and be like, wow, and
Wow.
even writing the things you're grateful for. So the S.A.V.E.R.S is an acronym that has become my morning routine, where I've started out with getting quiet, and then it has expanded to so much more. So a lot of the mindset work for me kicks off my day. And I wake up like the happiest little kid waiting to do my miracle morning. And it is a miracle. It has changed so many things, like the TED Talk, that was a powerful thing, and coaching programs that have come out of that. It's been hugely powerful. It's been a gift to me, which again, like you said, then you get to give more back, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I've had the honor of visiting 2 Olympic training centers. I was in Colorado, and I was in upstate New York, Lake Placid. So I had a chance to speak to athletes, coaches, and we have in our student group someone who is actually a part of the medical staff for the U.S. Olympic Committee. And one thing that I found was, that was throughout everybody's conversation about their training, because I talked to them about their training, and they came right out and said, it's 90% here. The other 10% is what we do physically every day. But I remember an interview I watched with Tara Lipinski, and I told this when I was on radio talking about dreams. I watched this interview with her, and it was right after she won the gold medal in figure skating, women's figure skating. And she said, I go through the perfect routine, not just on the ice. I go through it in here, and I would watch it over and over and over on tape. And then I would watch it over and over and over in my mind. And she said, the night before my gold medal performance, I dreamt that I was doing the perfect routine, and I just did it in my dreams. When I went on the ice, it was as if I were just watching a film of it already happening, because I did exactly the way I dreamed it, the way I visualized it, the way I felt it, the way I practiced it. And I just let go to the vision, right? I just surrendered to it. And she nailed it, and she won the gold medal. And I've had so many people, when I was on radio, call and say, I had a guy who was a fighter pilot, and talk about how back then, there were no virtual reality training programs that fighter pilots in training today have. They have programs just like Oculus, where they're able to train. Before that, they were just simulators, and there was big competition for the simulators. You only got a little bit of time, and then you only got a very little bit of time in the actual aircraft. So the fighter pilots used to train by closing their eyes and visualizing the cockpit, all the instruments, the stick, the throttle, and they would go through the maneuvers over and over and over and over in their head. And this one pilot I talked to said, I started moving from visualizing it to doing it before I went to sleep, and then in my dreams, I started connecting with that visualization, and I would pull maneuvers that the body could not do, because the body is limited to like 9 Gs, right? 9 G forces of gravity. But he said, man, I would pull things that were 12, 15, 20 Gs because it was in my dreams. And I would learn from that, and I would get used to that. And later on, when these virtual reality simulators came about, they were able to then do this and push the envelope. But if you talk to any pilot, let alone a fighter pilot, concentration and visualization is incredibly important, right? For me, I never would have graduated. I never would have gotten my pilot's license had I not used that concentration, the visualization, because the fear I had about the maneuver of stalling the aircraft and putting in a spin, I was just so paralyzed with fear, I couldn't do the maneuver.
Mhm.
But then I practiced it every night before sleep. And then one night I had a dream where I did it and the plane went all the way to the ground. But instead of exploding, I landed, right? And in flying, we talk about any landing you can walk away from is a good landing, right? So that, in my mind, I was, hey, it was a good landing. I got to walk away from the aircraft. But the point was the practice over and over and over and over. But not only did I get my pilot's license, right? But one day I was taking off from my home airport. It only had one runway, and the wind was coming at my nose, which is what you want. But as I was getting ready to take off, the wind did a 180-degree shift. And then the wind that I needed to lift was suddenly at my back, and my plane just started to crash. And it stalled. And I immediately pushed the nose down, put the throttle full, aiming right at the ground. And then in the last second, just inched the nose up, screamed the tires onto the runway, and I survived, right?
Wow.
I couldn't have done that had I not practiced over and over and over. Every time I took the aircraft up, and over and over and over in my head when I wasn't flying, I wouldn't have had the frame of mind. I wouldn't have had the focus, the concentration, and the confidence to do that, because it is completely against logic. Right? It's completely against logic to, when your plane is going down, to point the nose at the ground and put full power into crashing the nose down into the ground. Your brain says, this is stupid, don't do it. But our training says it's necessary, do it, and you'll survive it. Right?
Wow.
And so many times what we train our brain to do is counterintuitive to what our brain has been taught. So sometimes we not only have to do what we are focused on doing, but we have to undo some of those voices. Mm-hmm. And could you talk a little bit about that, about how sometimes we have to shut off those voices from the past and undo the things of the past in order to have a new belief and a new capability?
Yes, for sure. The first thing is awareness. Like, you have to know that this is the way you're thinking, right? If you're on autopilot, pardon the pun, but if you're on autopilot and you're just going through the motions of how you think, your brain has been trained for many years to think that way. Yes. It's very easy to go back and revert back to old thinking patterns. But and one of the things I think that used to trip me up too, Mike, was thinking I had to go figure out why I think that way, and let me see where that came from. And I'm all the way back here trying to figure it all out back there. But that's actually not the place you need to be spending your time. You need to replace that thinking with new thinking, right? You need to replace it with the things that are proven to work. With Think and Grow Rich. I actually had that book and I misplaced it. And this morning I opened a drawer and there it is. And I just nicely opened up. I didn't even start from the beginning. I was just like, what am I supposed to read today as part of my Miracle Morning? And I was reading this passage, and I forget, it was about planning and organizing, but it's about going forward, right? And that's in coaching. That's what this is all about. It's about getting you from point A to point B, but you're never going to get to point B hanging out with point A where you were and the way you were thinking. But the way to think new is to replace with new ideas. So what do you start doing? You talk to people who think the way maybe you want to think, right? You hang out with Mike DeLuca and say, teach me how you think that way, because he's got 45 years of experience and he's willing to teach me, right? You read the material that is going to help you shift some of that thinking. I've read some incredible books this past year that have just been so powerful in other people's perspectives of the same thing, right? You read, right? You're writing, like all of those elements of of the miracle morning, the affirmations that you're picking new ones, right? You stop visualizing the old and start thinking of the freedom you have with the new. And you
Yes.
guys, you have to be childlike in ways with this. We've got to remember we can play and have fun with our life. And if you can think like a child, you know, when a child uses their imagination, they think anything's possible. When did that stop for you? When did you stop thinking something was possible, or that you couldn't, or because of the way you were raised, or because of what happened to you when you were a kid, or that your parents were divorced, or my mom was a single mom, or we were homeless, or whatever it might be? Those are not reasons for you not to have what you want today. They actually don't matter a bit.
This is really important. The experiences we've had in the past, the challenges we've had in the past, the disabilities we've had in the past, they are things that we experience. They do not define who we are inside. They do not define and do not determine what you will do now and in the future. They are experiences. If we hold on to them as being realities, if we hold on to them as being all we're ever going to have, all we're ever going to be, and all we're ever going to do, then you're going to get what you hang on to. But when we stop thinking that what I have experienced in the past, what happened to me, what I did in the past, what was done to me, when we let that go and say forever starts in this second, not just today, but in this second, and I have the ability to focus on what, who, and how I want to be, we can change the entire course of history for ourselves. We can even, and I give exercises in this program, in my Your 9-Step program, I give exercises where we can go back into the past, change the way we experienced it, and create an effect here in the present and in the future. Because the past, the present, and the future are all connected, and they are happening simultaneously in the same area, right? The same cosmic or same quantum field. We are just honing in on a particular reality right now, like we tune in on a radio station, right? But we have the ability to choose. And that's why in my journal, I talk about every day, you choose your mindset. You choose your affirmation. You turn that affirmation into an incantation, right? You choose what you want to do today, what you don't want to do today, who, what, when, where is going to support that goal, and who is going to sabotage it. And we give ourselves permission and power to choose to let go and push away the things that do not contribute to us being and showing up at our very, very best and having the dreams manifest. We have the ability to do that. We do the gratitude portion of our journal where we show what we're grateful for, and we live inside that gratitude every morning. This is something that, you know, when he was writing Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and he interviewed over 500 of the top billionaires and business tycoons in the world. And one of the things that they found was you have to deeply dive into gratitude for what you have and who you are before you can move forward into doing and being anything more, right? So we have that built into the journal program. We have built into visualizing what would make today an incredible experience, right? You have the power to visualize what's an incredible day. What does it look like, feel like, right? Live that. And then how did I create, achieve, and share more wisdom, love, and freedom in the world today, right? If you do all of those things that are in that journal program, it's not just a journal, it's a goal achievement mastery journaling system. It's a way of changing your life. If you understand every dream, every thought, every imaginatory daydream, every wisdom whisper that comes to you is all there to support your dream and your goal, right? It's all there. They're all tools, but we have to recognize it. We have to grab it. We have to do something with it, and we have to do it consistently, right? It's not just, I'm going to do it once and it should take care of itself. I'm going to write down that resolution on the pad of paper. I'm going to put it up on my mirror. It's like Stephen Wright, the comedian. I don't know if you ever heard this joke. He said, oh, I got myself a dog. And yeah, I had to walk the dog 4 times a day, every day. It took so much time. So I decided I'm going to take care of that. So I took my dog and I walked it from Boston to Florida. Well, one nonstop walk, right? Now I never have to walk the dog again. Yeah, you killed the dog, right?
Right.
So, but that idea that, oh, if I just do it once or twice, that's enough, right? No, it's not. Right? It's not. It's concentrating and making the change real by repeating it again and again and living inside of it and manifesting it and becoming the change for yourself and then becoming the change for others. Something you do every day, Edna, something that you do with a beautiful heart and a beautiful desire to help people show up and live the very best life they can live. That's one of the things I love and respect about you. And I know that you earned it. You earned it by overcoming the challenges and doing the hard things and doing the hard work, right? Because any success, it's not, this instant thing, right? That you see on TV or you see on the internet. Follow these 7 steps and you will instantly, right? Become a zillionaire and, have the arm candy life and husband and boyfriend and girlfriend and, fly jets and have yachts. Not anything you ever want to achieve is going to be done without effort, consistent, planned, focused, concentrated effort. But if you're willing to do it, you're willing to pay the admission price, you will get into the greatest movie you've ever seen in your life. And that's your life, the way you want to live it, right? But you're not going to get a free ticket, right? And there's nothing any of you have achieved today. And I'm looking up and down the list of names, and I know every single one of you has worked hard at doing something in your life. And nothing you've done or received has come instantly, right? But what you wanted was willing to invest your time, your energy, your emotions, your imagination, and hard work, right? Your fears, you had to get rid of your fears. This is something I talk about in my program, right? We have to turn fear around from something that stands in the way as a shackle and turn it into a ladder to climb up. Because when you face your fears, they are rocket fuel. That energy is rocket fuel. Because once you know, like when I knew that pointing that nose down and putting full throttle was the right thing to do, it saved my life. That was the thing I was most afraid of in all the flying lessons I had, was pointing the nose down and putting the throttle full bore, because I was afraid it's going to cause me to crash, right? But we have to face the fear. We have to understand it. We have to talk to it. We have to make it our friend, and we have to use it. We have to climb up on its shoulders and walk up to that wall and climb over the wall, then look back and thank that fear. We have to look back and thank that limitation, thank that failure, right? We have to look back and thank the people who stood in our way or broke our hearts, right? Or broke our bank account. We have to look at them and thank them, because of them, we are able to take a step higher and go farther and further than we ever have before. At this point, Edna, would you mind answering some questions from the audience?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Folks, if you would like to ask Edna, the amazing Edna, a question, please, raise your hand. Okay, Marvin and Claudette. Marvin, would you like to ask Edna a question?
Yes. We've got the S.A.V. What's the E.R.S.?
Exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling. So it's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. S.A.V.E.R.S.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question. Thank you. Who else?
I see Carol at the bottom, I think.
Carol, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm sort of curious about the bodybuilding. Is that okay to ask about that?
Sure.
So you went into a competition and you won, I guess, did you?
I
Was
did.
was it like a local one or was
Yeah.
it?
Yes, I started local. I hired a personal trainer in the gym. They kind of led me to the next. I was very green about the entire process, but I'm a really good student and I'm very coachable. And they just one thing led to the other. They led me to who I was supposed to work with. And 7 months later, I was at a local bodybuilding competition within an hour driving distance. And then I ended up doing 3 more over the course of 5 years. So I did 4. And in fitness and figure, which are other categories. Now today, I feel so old, they have even more categories for men and women. But yeah, you know, it's starting small. I think sometimes when you're setting a goal, you know, that was huge for me, but I didn't have to go to the other side of the country to do certain things, right? Like just start where you are right now to get that win, like just do the show. And that's what I said. I wouldn't even allow anybody to talk about it. I was like, tell me what I need to do today. What am I working on? Don't talk about the show. And until I got comfortable, and you kind of grow into that space. And Mike, I love your language about, you know, stepping into being connected to that vision, that goal that you have. You can't have it from here and say, there's my goal, and then you stay back here.
Right.
Really do. It's like a muscle, you guys. That mindset work is like working out physically. You have to practice every day that visualization. You have to, as I call it, healthy brainwashing. You have to undo the old and put in the new and keep brainwashing yourself with all the healthy stuff, healthy brainwashing. And then one day you do a show and you do it, right, Carol? Like you do it. You just do it, right?
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just to add to that, back in May, during our COVID crisis comeback challenge, we had Julie Olson. Julie was the survivor of a double transplant. Okay, she had, I think, her kidneys and her pancreas transplanted at the same time. It was a life-threatening illness. She fought back year after year after year. She came on our challenge as a speaker in May, and she's in her mid-60s like me. She went out, she became a natural female senior bodybuilder. She went out and won the senior regional competition her first try.
Wow.
And I'll put on my site a picture of Julie. I mean, she looks phenomenal. But I mean, she had to lose like 25, 30 pounds, you know, and she had to work really, really hard. She had a great coach, you know, really important. She had a great coach. Her husband supported her 100%. She had a lot of friends, and she made friends and family with the bodybuilding community. So she became part of a community of like-minded, like-spirited people. And what she did is absolutely inspiring and incredible. And she, you know, helped me inspire me too, that, you know, you need to go for this, right? You need to do it for yourself. You need to do it for the people in the program, do it for your family, right? Do it for the world. And this is important. Any change you want to make, if you say, I'm doing this for myself first, I'm doing it for my family, I'm doing it for my friends, I'm doing it for God, I'm doing it for the world. Whatever you have to line up in, I'm doing it for, line it up. But your chances will change completely when you align yourself that there is a reason and purpose for concentrating on this goal and doing whatever it takes. I'm going to say this 3 times. It's important to be willing to do whatever it takes. It's important to be willing to do whatever it takes. It's not enough to say, oh, I think I'll do that. It's not enough to say, I think I want to do that. It's not enough to say, I want to do that. You have to make the commitment to yourself, to your family, to a higher power, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to achieve this, because once you do it, you have the formula, you have the framework, and you have the mindset to do anything, because you know you are willing and capable of doing whatever it takes. And I'm going to tell you, for a big part of my life, I was saying the right words, I was talking the right talk, I was giving the right emotions, and I was making it look like I actually knew what I was doing. But in the end, I wasn't willing to pay the price, to do whatever it takes. But when I started understanding, committing, and acting, it changed my health, it changed my income, it changed my ability to communicate. Not only me, but it changed my kids, it changed my family, it changed my friends, right? So this is, it is so important and so powerful to look inside yourself, look in that mirror, and be real honest. What is it that I really want, right? Do I really, really want this, or do I want it because someone told me I should want it? Or I see that some people want it. It sounds like a good idea, right? Do you really want this like you need oxygen when you've been underwater? Do you really want this when you were like I was and I hadn't eaten in a few days, right? Do you really want this like somebody in a desert who hasn't had water for a day? Do you want this that bad that you're willing to do whatever it takes to not just get it, but to be it? Because once you want, once you have that why so strong, there is nothing and nobody that can stand in your way, not even yourself. And that is the biggest opponent, right? That is the biggest opponent, right? My dad taught me, my dad was an incredible athlete. And he had just had hip replacement surgery. He was on crutches, and he would play ping pong with me, right? And here I was young, athletic, and I could not beat him one single time, because he embodied the superior athlete. But when I was done being beaten by him 100 times, 1,000 times, he said, "Do you understand what I've been teaching you?" And I said, "No." He said, "I never beat you in a single game. I allowed you to beat yourself. I allowed you to beat yourself because you were impatient, you were angry, you rushed, you got upset, your mindset was not right, and you weren't willing to be the champion. You weren't willing to be it. You weren't willing to do what it took to get there, right? I watched you. I knew how many times you practiced. I watched you when I played you, right? And this is a guy whose sport saved his life. And I'll tell this story later on, but my dad was about to be executed by the United States Army for helping save the lives of German children and women and family at the end of World War II. And he was getting ready to be sent to prison and executed. But what saved his life was his dedication to sports, and he was an incredible baseball pitcher. And as Providence would have it, that very week, the United States Army was having their World Series against the United States Marines. And for the first time, the Army was close to beating the Marines, and their star pitcher blew his shoulder out. And they were so close, right? And so they're yelling, "Does anybody know someone who can pitch? Does anyone know a good pitcher?" And they said, "Does anybody?" And this lieutenant that my dad used to drive a Jeep for said, Mike DeLuca, he used to be my driver. He's an incredible pitcher. Where is he? He's getting ready to go to Leavenworth to be hung, right? What are you talking about? Yeah, he helped these German kids. He took hand grenades and threw them in the water so there would be a bunch of fish that these German kids could scoop up and feed their starving families. And now they're going to send him to Leavenworth. He's either going to rot in prison or be hung. So he said, we have a chance to beat the Marines. We have a chance to beat the Marines. He called up a colonel. The colonel called up a general at the Pentagon and say, we have a chance to beat the Marines, but we've got this guy who they're going to send to Leavenworth because he fed a bunch of German kids. The general said, we really have a chance to beat the Marine. Yes. General made a deal. Colonel made a deal. And the lieutenant called my dad in. He said, DeLuca, I have a deal for you. You don't have to go to prison. You don't have to be hung. All you have to do is win one baseball game. And my dad said, what? He said, yeah, we made a deal with the Pentagon. We will have to bust you down from sergeant to private. You're going to have to forfeit an entire year's pay. But you will be honorably discharged, and you will not go to prison, and you will not be executed. But you have to beat the Marines, right? A little bit of pressure, right? My dad knew who he was. My dad knew what he was. My dad loved baseball. My dad loved pitching. My dad loved to be alive and not be hung, right? Not only did he win the game, he pitched a no-hitter because his why was so dang strong. For him, it was a matter of survival. And if we get to that point to where the why, our why to achieve our what becomes a matter of survival, right? Becomes that important, right? There's nothing that we can't do. So my dad understood pressure. He understood a strong why, and he understood all the years he had practiced pitching, all the years he had learned how to not let a hitter defeat him, and how he could make the hitter defeat himself, because the way he would pitch, he would get the hitter all frustrated. He'd make the hitter think, oh, I can knock this out of the park on this idiot. He knew how to make that person defeat themselves, and he knew how to win, and his why was impenetrable, indefeatable, right? That's what we can do. That's what we can be, right? But it's up to us. What do you want? Why do you want it? How strong do you want it? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get it? When will you commit to doing what it takes? And can you take the macrocosm and boil it down to the teeny tiny microcosmic steps? Those tiny steps are the road to success, right? And they are what makes it attainable. They are what makes it easy. They are what makes it possible, right? Edna did not walk into the gym and say, okay, I'm going to lift 200 pounds. I'm going to do 10 reps, and I'm going to have the body of a goddess. That did not happen, right, Edna?
No, absolutely not.
Right?
It was those steps, right? Yes.
Little steps, little minutes, little hours, little days, little weeks, right? We have to be committed to the long game. You have to be committed to the long haul, right? But if we are, I swear to you, based on my experiences, we can all achieve dreams. We can all change our lives. We can all have a better life, a bigger life, and be more than we ever dreamed we could be, and do more than we ever dreamed possible. These are not words. These are realities, but they have to be real in your heart. They have to be real in your heart. Edna, anything else you'd like to share and say with the group?
I would say just a couple things. Number one, Mike, you keep saying whatever it takes. And that is one of my favorite songs. If you haven't heard Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragons, write it down and plug in and just blare it when you're thinking about your dream or your goal, because it is a powerful song. And if you listen to the words, it is even more powerful. I love it. My kids love it, for sure. The world is waiting for your gifts and for you to express yourself, in big, powerful ways. It is not It is not a little thing that we are each here. And I really feel like, that little whisper that you've gotten, in this last year and a half, and when you were a kid that you haven't acted upon, is the thing you're supposed to be doing right now. And Mike has the way for you to do it. And I feel like, there's somebody out there waiting for you, waiting for what it is that you have to offer. I wholeheartedly believe that. And if you start with your body and your mindset and taking care of this temple, then you're able to go give those gifts to the world in bigger, more powerful ways. And don't think for a second, you guys, that when you commit to your goal and you commit and make that decision that you're going to do this, whatever it takes, as Mike said, that it's not going to rock the boat of other people around you. Sometimes your friends, sometimes your family, it shakes other people up when you start showing up in big ways. Don't let that, do not allow that to make you small. Keep getting bigger. It allows them to see a great example of how they can be big. And I think sometimes, Mike, when we're talking about some of those limiting beliefs and some of those things that shake us, where we're kind of setting the goal, but not really feeling it all, because we know, oh, maybe my spouse won't like it, or maybe my friends will see me differently. I see this a lot with weight loss. I coach women who lose weight, and all of a sudden you see a slim, fit woman, and everybody in her world gets jealous, or they get, their stuff comes up, right? That happens not just with weight loss. It happens when you set a goal or you commit to your dream. It makes other people look in the mirror and say, I'm not acting on mine, but she is, or he is. That's okay. Go be the example. Go do it anyway, whatever it takes. Mike, that's what I would say in closing. Thank you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Edna. And I hope you can stick around for the rest of the session here, because what we like to do is we like to do a little breakout room. And in the breakout room, you've all been sitting back there and you've been taking great notes and you've been really patient and listening. But I'm going to break us up into breakout rooms. And I'm going to ask you in your breakout room to make a commitment to the other 3 people in the breakout room. This is what I would like to achieve. This is what I would like to do. This is why I want to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. And if it's something that you want to work with me to help you get there, I will work with you and help you get there. Okay. But so we're going to, time to take a little risk. It's time to do a little doing, put your butt on the fire a little bit, because nothing we achieve happens unless we're willing to get uncomfortable and step forward and say, yes. Yes, I want this. I am willing to do this. I expect I can do this, and I will do whatever it takes. Okay. So if everybody's ready, you're going to see an invitation to join a breakout room. Please join the breakout room. And it's real clear. Each one of you is going to have like 5 minutes to talk about, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to be. This is why. This is how I'm going to do it. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. You need to say that in front of those people, that you're truly willing to do whatever it takes. Because if you do that, from this moment on, you will change and your life will change, because you're willing to say it, you're willing to think it, you're willing to say it, you're willing to do it, and you're willing to be it. So let's take this step right now. Please accept the breakout room that's being assigned to you. Please go ahead in that room and be brave. Okay, take the uncomfortable action. And I will see you back in 15 minutes. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I hope that you had an amazing and interesting small group discussion. What I'm going to ask us to do in the last few minutes of this session is I'm going to ask you to create a little bit of discipline in this moment. And I'd like for you to think about what is the most important thing that you discovered from today's program, and what was the most important thing you experienced in the small group discussion. And you can only say one sentence about what's the most important thing you received from today and what was the most important thing you received from the small group discussion. If you use more than one sentence, I will mute you, okay? Because this is important. I want to hear from as many people as possible. And I'm not asking you to give a TED talk. I'm asking you to share one sentence about today, what was the most important thing you experienced today, and what was the most important thing from the experience in your small group. Does everybody understand the game rules? Yes? Yes or yes?
Yes.
All right. All right. So who would like to be the first person to share what was the most important thing they received from today? One sentence.
All right. So the most important thing I got from today is remembering with my whole heart the magic of tuning into the creative picture.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. And what was the most important thing you learned from the small group discussion?
I'm remembering how to listen with my heart in a group.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emily. And thank you for being brave to be the first one. What is the most important thing you learned from today in one sentence?
Okay. Creating a mindset is the most important thing I had from the general talk.
Wonderful. And how about your small group discussion? What was the most important thing you experienced there?
Coming up with precise process to achieving it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. That is so important. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being with us today. It might be quite late where you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Myrna. Yay, Myrna.
Well, I love the miracle morning practice. That is great. Great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what about in your small group? What did you gain from the small group discussion the most?
The wonderful thing is willing to do whatever it takes.
Yes.
It was great.
Awesome.
For each one of us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Myrna. Thank you so much. Marvin and Claudette, and then Samarit.
I learned that it's most important to recommit fully and completely.
Beautiful. And what about in the small group discussion?
And in the small group, to express that.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for playing all in, Marvin and Claudette. Thanks for being here and for giving 100%.
Okay, go ahead, Claudette.
For me, it was let the world be the marketer.
Interesting.
I love it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Samarit and then Ingrid.
From today's session, what I got is the importance of living, breathing, embodying the visualization every single day. And from my small group, I got in touch. I kept thinking, I don't know what my why is, but I got in touch with the why. The why is coming through me, not from me.
Ah, beautiful. It's coming through you, not just from you. Outstanding. Thank you for that. I think that's something we all can benefit from. Thank you for sharing that, Samarit. Thank you also for playing full out all the time. You know, when you show up to play. So thank you. Ingrid.
Yes, from today, the most important for me was willing to do whatever it takes to achieve my goals. From our small group, I loved what I think it was Marvin. He said, when you reach a blockage, learn and move on. That was very good. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Also, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. No matter what one you choose, you're going to have an experience and you're going to learn from. So when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Don't be afraid to make a decision. Don't be afraid to make a choice. Awesome. Thank you. Jojo.
Yes. So from today's session, I need to just keep journaling because I love it, and it brings everything else out. And then in the group discussion, was that no matter what happens, it's like, yes, do it. And if it doesn't work, you learned.
Yeah, if it works, you learned. If it doesn't work, you learned, right? So you can't lose.
Can't lose.
Cannot lose. Beautiful. And thank you, JoJo. And thank you for all the energy, effort, and love you put into this program and into helping everybody in it. You really are an inspiration. Your energy is contagious. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and we love you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. Larry and Leah.
In the main session, I learned the difference, I should say the gap between thinking about success in the goal and actually committing to it. And in the session, in the group discussion, it was learning that success is continuous practice with patience toward yourself.
Wow. Could you say that one more time? It's just important for people to hear.
Success is continuous practice with patience toward yourself.
Could you say that one more time?
Success is continuous practice with patience toward yourself.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Larry, I don't know who stepped into your body, right? But the Larry I'm seeing is an amazing, amazing individual. I am so glad he's here and so glad he's a part of the program. And, congratulations, because, you are being more you than I've ever seen you be before. And I appreciate it and applaud you.
Thank you.
And it was hard won and it was hard fought. And Leah, we are so happy to see you and we love you so much. And we're just so happy to be able to see you. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Mm.
Well, I cannot say thank you enough. There are many, many things you could have been doing on a beautiful Saturday. You chose to be here with us today. You chose to be here with me today. I do not take that lightly. I appreciate it deeply. I hope that you all know how committed I am to having you see and become the very, very best version. I hope you know I've done this today, not because I think I'm some guru, not because I think I'm some master, not because I think I'm something special, that I'm here and you're going to learn from me. I'm someone who is living this just like you are every day, and I'm trying to share with you my discoveries. But you all have some amazing teachers and masters and gurus and mentors in your lives. I'm here to reflect the importance of listening to them, the importance of doing and what they suggest. And just as important, recognize the wisdom you have in your own heart. Recognize what your vision of yourself and your life could be and what you want it to be. And know you have the power, the tools, the energy, the enthusiasm, everything you need is inside of you. And if today I've helped shine some light on that, if today I've helped motivate you, I've helped inspire you, if I've done anything positive to contribute to you achieving that for yourself, I am incredibly grateful. It is a dream come true for me to take what I've learned and what I've suffered through and have something positive come from it. And I've made a lot of sacrifices over the years to learn what I've learned and do what I do. I've made a lot of sacrifices over the last year to be with you and give you what I'm giving you. And I made a lot of sacrifices to be here today, things you will never know, right? That's how important it is that I support you in your goals and I give you what I have to give while I'm still breathing, while I'm still thinking, while I'm still able to speak, walk, talk. Time just moves so quickly. We can't take any of that for granted. So I'm sharing this for you. I'm sharing it with all the people you're going to touch. I'm sharing it for my family. I'm sharing it because one day my grandkids and my great grandkids will say, what is it that grandpa did? Right? What did he know? You know, and they'll be able to look at these videos and say, wow, he was weird. Or they may say, wow, you know, some of the stuff he said makes sense, right? He's a little outdated, and he didn't have he wasn't speaking to the group in a hologram. You know, he used this thing called video. My God, we haven't used video in decades, right? But the main point is they're going to see it and they're going to say, wow, you know, maybe there was something he said that was wise. Maybe something he did was beneficial. And if I did one thing today that helped one person, then the 45 years have been worth something. Certainly the last year has been something. And the 2 hours we shared together meant a lot. So I thank you for sharing that with me. I love you all. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful for what you will do with what you've learned today. And I hope to see you at our next session.